So my name is Jude Hector. I'm the Executive Director for the organization. And Adult and Teen Challenge is a non-profit organization. We're affiliated with a global organization called Global Teen Challenge, operating in 127 different countries. And we basically run rehabilitation programs across the world. So we do both preventative work in terms of preventing, youths and adults from a life of drugs, alcohol, and other life-controlling problems, but we also do rehabilitative work. So here in Grenada, we launched last year, March the 28th, 2019 is when we actually registered as a non-profit, and we launched our first program at Her Majesty's Prison on July the 3rd last year. So just in summary, we really work with people who are struggling with life-controlling problems, and that could be drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is that people are struggling with. And the plan and the goal really is to help them to become productive, become whole, but in a very holistic way. So we're looking at body, soul, spirit, we're looking at relationships, we're looking at the environment, we're looking at community. So it's really an NGO that is very, very focused on youth development, community development, and holistic transformation. And it's a faith-based organization as well.
Tell us a little bit about the 𝘾𝙚𝙡 initiative.
Right, so the 𝘾𝙚𝙡 initiative, and behind me you can see some floats and so on, so that's just a visible indicator as what's behind there. It's an initiative which came out of a dream and a vision that one of our colleagues in 𝘾𝙚𝙡 had some time ago, Mr. 𝘾𝙚𝙡. And he was quite persistent. He was saying, listen, it's a very, very good business. In fact, he was doing a bit of it, and he was one of the guys we worked with in the past. So coming out of that, we did some research, and we found it was quite a viable project to undertake. So we invested quite a sum of money for training, for the initial stock we needed for planting. And so we worked with the fisheries department, and they authorized us to start for 4 locations, 2 in Grenada and 2 in 𝘾𝙗𝙡. So the one you see here is one of the locations in Grenada. And so really the 𝘾𝙚𝙡 initiative is one that is part of our wider micro-business strategy for the organization, because you know that as non-profits, funding could be a challenge, especially funding for operational expenses. So we may get funding for projects and programs, but funding for your staff, for your utilities and so on is sometimes a challenge. So a micro-business strategy, and that's part of the Global Teen Challenge culture. There's a very strong focus on micro-business. And it does a few things. One, provide funding for projects, operational funding, capital expansion funding, but it also provides a means for us to provide employment for some of the persons that we work with, because some of them they would struggle to find a job, right? So I think those 4 areas are some of the drivers why we're doing this product. Right, so this one, we planted this one on July the 10th, so fairly recent. So we're really just still learning the ropes, as it were. Yeah.
𝘾𝙚𝙡 have a lot of benefits. One, there's a lot of health benefits within 𝘾𝙚𝙡. You can use 𝘾𝙚𝙡 in almost everything that you need to eat or drink. Then there is also the economic value, and the times that we're living in now is a part of our food security. Other than that, with the 𝘾𝙚𝙡, you can do a lot of different things. It also helps the organization.
Who are the persons involved? Is it just you 2 involved in the planting process? Is it just you 2, or there's a bigger team?
There's a bigger team, and because this is kind of we work really as a cooperative to a large extent. So based on what we have to do, so for example, when we harvesting, we bring a team in because we need a lot of manpower. When we have different maintenance things to do, we bring more people in. So we're part of I would say it's about 15 or so of us in the group overall, and different people come on different days based on what's required in terms of work. Yeah.
Do you have a market market so far for your CMOS?
We have a market, yes. So we've had one major buyer already, and in fact we've had other requests for the product. So yes, there is quite a market now, and just given, like my friend said, the health value of CMOS. I mean, you can use for your hair, your skin. I mean, pretty much any part of your body. The nutritional content is quite high. It's probably one of those things we call a superfood, right? It helps a lot with the immune system, and especially in the COVID environment right now. I think I would encourage every Grenadian, in fact, to at least include CMOS as part of your diet. So quite a good product.
What is the production level like?
So our plot, the way we've configured it, we have 3 plots here. Every plot should give you a yield of about 100 pounds of dried CMOS. So at a ratio of about 20 to 1, that would mean about, let's say, 6,000 pounds of wet CMOS per plot. We've actually worked it down so we can tell you that we really expect about almost 3 pounds of wet CMOS per plant. The amazing thing, and I mean, I thank God for His creation, because you put a small bit in, and in about 6 to 8 weeks, you have quite a big bunch. And really, sunlight, nutrients from the water, nature does its work, right? So I think a lot of it really depends on the nutritional content of the water and how far it is from the level of the surface. So you don't want to go too deep, so that it doesn't get enough sunlight, and you want it to be in an area where at least it's not disturbed a lot because if the tide and the surface is too heavy, you can have a lot of breakage, and we do have to factor in some loss for breakage. But generally, once you put your plots in the area where it's good, it's acceptable, it has been authorized, of course, by the ministry, because we want to make sure that we also protect the environment. So whatever we do, we want to make sure it's sustainable, right? But apart from that, you plant, you do your weekly maintenance. Generally, about I would say about 6 to 10 weeks, right? So depending on a few things. Again, the nutrients in the water, level of sunlight, how far you are from where there's like river flows and it's bringing a lot of nutrients from the land. That tends to increase the rate of growth as well. But generally 6 to 10 weeks. All right, so I mean, after you'd have cleared with the Ministry of Fisheries to get your location and everything else, planting material, you can get that from one of the farmers, or technical assistance. Some farmer may be willing to, or there might be a cost involved, of course, but planting material really comes from the stock you already have in the water. So generally, when you harvest, you would use some of that to replant. It's like potatoes, right? When you dig, then you use some of the slips to replant. Right, so in terms of the planting material and the way that the plots are constructed, we use ropes. These would be the main way of keeping the plot together, and also what I call the anchors ready for the plants to be suspended from. There are different sizes of rope you can use. We use the 10 mm. We're probably going to go down to the 8 just because it's easy on the fingers. So concrete blocks for anchors. I mean, different people use different things for anchors based on the sea floor and what you can do. Some people use wooden stakes, but you put your anchors in, you anchor your plot. Our plot is it's like about 21 ropes by 35 feet wide. So once you get all the cross rows in place and you have what's called the mother rope on the sides, you anchor them on 4 or 6 edges, and you're ready to go. Your plants ready to go on the suspended stringers, as we call them. So a very... Sorry? Yes, so not a very, very complicated process, and quite interesting.
Seaweeds. Sarcasm for it is one of the biggest pests. Right? You cannot suck off the seaweeds. But the other seaweeds, there's a fine green seaweed. It stops the growth of the CMOS. Right? It sticks between the branches and it kind of stops the growth. There are others that just stick up within the CMOS, which will kind of hamper the growth from. But the sargassum is the worst of it.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it wouldn't grow in the sargassum because it really poisons the water, right?
It would just suck it up. Even I had the experience to see a piece of sargassum piece of sea moss will break off from a plot in Carrefour, where a piece of sagas or mosaic. And normally you only see that when the sea moss is in the sunlight. You get white. And because of this sarcasm, this piece of sea moss break off and come show, and then one part of it was white. Because white here there was a piece of sarcasm stick to that part. Before I can kill the sea moss.
What it is that you're doing to prevent the effects that the green, the smooth green seaweed is going to?
Well, regular maintenance.
Cleaning.
Right, you check it, clean. Because that's what you gotta do. Every time you plant, there are certain times when it's 3-4 times a week. You check it, clean it, make sure that it's clean.
I mean, different sea creatures actually like the product too, right? So I also that turtles, they would eat a lot of that. And then and some fish would actually, so it actually creates almost like a natural coral type environment. So you find small fish, crabs, would come in the plot. So sometimes like based on if the larger fish is after the smaller ones, there'll be a lot of movements through the plot. So that's also a factor.
Sea moss also attract lobsters.
Yeah. So we do have some challenges though, because I'm sure you're aware that, and just from what you see, it's in a remote area. People are not here all the time, so we do have some challenges with theft, unfortunately. And so we really are needing the support of, we've already spoken with the police and so on, and so they've pledged their support. The Ministry of Agriculture have pledged their support as well. So things like, simple things like, for example, ensuring that sea moss farmers have a license, so that persons who are selling bulk sea moss would have to verify that they're actually a farmer. I think that would be a great way to make sure that we don't have people stealing and selling sea moss.
Tell us why you choose the location.
Well,
Now to plant sea moss, you cannot plant it in too many rough water. Water is too, you have too much of movements, you have too much of breakage. Then you have to have an area that's where it is manageable, that you can walk to the plots and also to maintain it. The other part about it is also it is eco-friendly, it's marine protected areas most likely. Because you cannot plant a sea moss with boats and then passing regularly.
yeah.
All that will cause movements, too much of movements within the water, which cause a lot of breakage. So, and that's the reason why you might, most of the time you find sea moss is planted most of a remote area.
Yeah. And too, it's important to work with the ministry on projects like these, because they have an overall understanding as to what the environmental impact and everything is. So we do encourage that yes, please let the ministry guide and at least vet and approve locations and otherwise, so that at least because we want to make sure that whatever we do is sustaining, right? We don't want to be destroying the environment, because we all need it for our long-term sustenance.
Tell us about the other agricultural work that you plan to do.
Right, so good question. We've recently gotten an initial concept proposal approved by SKY, Skill for Youth Empowerment, to train 60 young persons up to CVQ level 1 and 2 in 3 areas: general crop production, beekeeping, and rabbit rearing. So part of our mission as well is to empower our youth through viable, sustainable projects that they can use to sustain themselves. So whereby, instead of, for example, giving them a fish every day, you give them a boat and you teach them how to fish so they can go and help themselves. So we really appreciate organizations like SKY, who is we're working through now to do the full proposal. So hopefully we can get the project approved, and we can train up to 60 young persons in those areas. Apart from that, the facilities at Good Hope will really be our hub. So there we're going to do rabbits. We already have a few kitchen items planted, like some okra, some corn, some potatoes. We want to cultivate the whole area, do like a plant nursery, and have it as an environment that would also a practicum site. For those of them who are doing the programs, they can actually do the practicum work there. So I think overall we want to contribute to national development through food security, through youth empowerment, through the whole agricultural focus on agriculture that we have right now. And so we appreciate the ministry for being here with us, right? I think that's it's it just shows that you're paying attention to what is happening out there, and the fact that you're out in the waters as well. I think that's it just shows the length to which you would go to ensure that we get the coverage we need. So we really appreciate that. The fact that you've already given us a few things already, we appreciate that, and so we want to see this go as far as we can. Right, so listen, that's an important question. As an organization, our real vision is to see a residential rehabilitation center established in Grenada that can provide help for those of our youths and adults who are struggling, daily with drug and alcohol addiction. I'm sure all of you are aware of people who have lots and lots of struggles. It's affecting the economy, it's affecting the family, it's affecting the individual, it's affecting everything. So we believe, and our vision is to generate income from projects like these that will enable us to build a rehabilitation facility that will be able to take in some persons for a period of 12 to, our program is 12 to 18 months, residential, so that they can really become whole again, let's put it this way, right? Integrated, and also to help them to reintegrate back to their families and back into the community. So that's the long-term goal. We also know that we operate in a center at Good Hope. We also plan to establish similar operations in Carriacou, Pitimatnik, and really elsewhere as well, because the needs are great.